Hello, and welcome to Opinionated here on I24 News, the news show that challenges consensus, analyzes the events that shape our world, and that draws out the views of our guests for the consideration of you, the viewing audience. I'm your host, Benjamin Anthony, CEO of the Miriam Institute. And after 843 long days and nights of war, the body of Ran Gvili was finally ingathered by his family for burial here in Israel. My first guest is a member of the United States Senate who, for every single one of those 843 days, stood by the state and people of Israel in a rare demonstration of principle over politics or party. Joining us from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I'm delighted to welcome Senator John Fetterman. Senator, welcome to the show.
It's an honor to be here with you today. And I've put out this message across all of my socials, but thank God that nightmare, after 843 days, it's ending. I mean, I can't imagine. They have lived their spirit, in my office. Right after that, I put them all up on in my walls in my office, and until the last one. And I can't imagine. And I've had the supreme honor of meeting with countless former hostages and families, and I can't even imagine if I was a father if my son was in this, I truly would not be able to function. So that strength has inspired me, and now my career could end right now, and I would identify my supreme honor of service here in the Senate is unapologetically standing with Israel after that nightmare of 10/7.
Well, we certainly don't want your career to end anytime soon, Senator, and I know that you have the scars to prove your steadfast support of Israel. Tell me, what was it that made you move to this position of moral rectitude and certainty when so many in your party and elsewhere were moving away from Israel as we fought on 7 fronts after so many were stolen from us on that dreadful day?
Well, I mean, anyone that's a student of history, everybody understands the way the Jewish community has been persecuted and murdered. And so how could you not want to stand with that community? Israel is our dear special ally in that region. The only nation in the region that lives and defends the kinds of values and freedoms that we have and that we should be promoting there. So that was the easiest choice I would ever have as a senator, saying whose side I'm going to stand with. Iran or Hamas or these other kinds of autocracies there, or I'm going to stand with Israel. And now I assumed, and sadly that did happen, my party, the Democratic Party, would back away and start to turn their back to Israel. And now, anti-Zionism has been, now that's just a new anti-Semitism. They try to use it in those kinds of terms. And people that are running for the Senate, they are now making anti-Israel as part of the centerpiece of their campaign now. And these just raging anti-Semites like Mandami and other people are now employing those people that have these harsh, ridiculous, and anti-Israel kinds of views. So for me, Israel always deserved to at least one consistent voice, in the Senate Democrats, and that's why I was proud to be and will always remain.
Well, you certainly were that. And talking about consistent voices, we've seen the very opposite. There were so many people who ran to defame Israel, the Israel Defense Forces, to destroy any notion that we had a right to defend ourselves in the aftermath of October the 7th. Their voices raised prominently, regularly and often. But we're not hearing those voices now as the regime in Iran opens fire on its own people. Numbers vary, but most agree that many thousands have been gunned down and mowed down by that regime over there in Iran. What would you say to those people who have now fallen so very silent in the face of such an atrocity?
No, they're the ones that took It took a long time to even respond. You actually have these terrible people. They were cheering for Hamas in Queens in New York, across the street from a synagogue. What is wrong with you people? I mean, this is the point. These are the kinds of people that they kind of try to their turn their look from, or they try to deny that they are helping stoke these kinds of things. It's absolutely undeniable. And you want to know what they really think? It's like, look at the kinds of people that they hire and look at the kind of people that they surround them in now. So it must be heartbreaking. Absolutely. And the IDF, I want to thank and salute the IDF, what they've accomplished, how remarkable that is, to break Hamas, to break Hezbollah, humiliate Iran, and now it's possible for a real path for peace in that region after what IDF did. That's why I will always vote for whatever Israel needs, military, financial, intelligence, whatever that's ever necessary. And what the IDF have done, and I agree for every one of them that were lost there, because they had to destroy Hamas, are just nothing more than rapists and criminals and cowards.
Well, I want to thank you for visiting here at least twice, in June 2024 and then again in March 2025. And you'll have gauged that there's a sense here in Israel that there's unfinished business, particularly when it comes to Iran. Would you be supportive if Israel was to launch another strike in order to hasten the end of that regime over there in Tehran?
100%. Yeah, I've said that. I was cheering to bomb the Iranian nuclear facilities. Can you just imagine if the Democrats, if we were in charge at that point, it's very likely that Iran could have acquired a nuclear bomb. We try to pretend and forget that thing. And I don't care if it's a Republican or I'm in a different party. What accomplished there by striking the nuclear facilities absolutely made the world more safe. And I can't even imagine, if I lived in Israel, if Iran acquired a nuclear bomb. That's the truth. And that's part of the betrayal in my party. And they've turned their back or their blind eye to pretend that the left, we don't have a raging anti-Semitism problem. They even try to use the veil of, well, it's anti-Zionism and those things. That becomes essentially just anti-Semitism.
Senator, how do you, given all of that, how do you find your home still within the Democratic Party when you're seeing these outspoken opponents of all that you're describing, which is wholly right, wholly correct, and absolutely proper? How do you still find yourself at home within that party, and what is the work that you want to see undertaken in order to course correct?
I mean, I am a Democrat. I'm going to remain as a Democrat, but I'm going to remain to be the kind of conscience in my party and remind people that, you have turned your back and backed away. You have followed polls, or you have embraced just the kinds of the worst element of in my party and in our society as well too. If that's that's part of my responsibility to remind this party that we should firmly stand with Israel. It shouldn't be controversial. And now Israel never targeted civilians. That's actually what the cowards Hamas did. That's what happened on 10/7.
Do you feel, do you share the concern that many have, Senator, that the party might follow the dreadful example that's been put forward by Mayor Mamdani, that they might follow that sort of populism and anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, because they see that it can win votes?
Well, I don't know what populism is, other than it's just free shit for everybody. Like, that's not a campaign. That's not reality. I mean, it's like it's like we really want to be pandered to. It's like, let's make everything free, so that's really what that was. Thankfully, New York City's politics are not reflective of our nation overall. And those kinds of extreme things, hiring people that refer to owning a home as white supremacy, and we want to impoverish, middle white class people. and we want everybody to end up living in public housing and those things. That's who you want to surround you with. And right now, that's the voice of New York City. So if I was a Jew living in New York City, absolutely, it's a sad day. And as he continues to hire these people, he just hired a new one for like some deputy for communication, whatever.
We
And look at
will
the kinds of,
we will
yeah,
absolutely be looking on. And I want to say, because I know that we have to let you go, that your friendship and your support and dedication to the cause of returning those who were stolen from us, Senator, will forever, forever be remembered. Thank you for joining me here on Opinionated. It's deeply, deeply wonderful and a tremendous pleasure for me to be able to have you here on this show. Thank you for all that you do and all that you stand for.